wonders of the past, the endless romance of antiquity, how the dead past is made to live again. Some introductory remarks from the editor. It is unfortunate that one of the most fascinating pursuits to which the human mind can devote itself should have so foreboding a name as archaeology. To that much-mentioned personage, the man in the street, the word probably suggests chilly museums with dusty shelves and pot shards with little trinkets in glass cases. And he has a good warranty for this, as only within recent years has the science of recovering the past been brought to something like perfection in its methods, attaining results that enthrall the intelligent and stir the sense of wonder in all persons of average imagination. Digging through the dust of ages to recapture the hidden past. Thanks in some measure to the superabundance of wealth with which the United States found herself, shall we say, encumbered? In the years immediately following the war, numerous expeditions from the great American universities, either independently or in conjunction with the British Museum and our own universities, were organized to search for the buried remains of past ages in many different parts of the world, so that at present, important expeditions are exploring many sites identified with the strange civilizations of the Mayas, the Incas, the Aztecs, and other once powerful races of the American continent. Such age-old city sites as Ur and Kish in Babylon and various others in Mesopotamia are being deeper and more deeply dug into with the most fruitful results. As the ensuing pages vividly illustrate, expeditions are even at work in different regions of China and the great deserts of Asia, searching for anything that throws light upon the vast stretch of the world's existence, which, for convenience, we describe as prehistory. Nearer home, there is a great activity on the classic sites of Western Europe. Anyone who first visited Pompeii 30 years ago, and again today, would be astounded at the change that has come over that little town of ancient Rome, the tragedy of whose destruction has given it a place in the imagination of mankind beyond its interest. It is instructive to recall that the first unearthing of Pompeii seems to confirm the idea that the common domestic architecture of Imperial Rome was somewhat similar to that of the Spanish country residents of today. A rectangular series of rooms enclosing an inner courtyard and the atrium of the Romans, the patio of the Spaniards, whence doors gave immediate access to the surrounding apartments, which were all on the ground level, excepting certain upstairs quarters for the domestic slaves, wherein the new archaeologist rivals Sherlock Holmes. The meticulous examination of every spadeful of earth dug by the modern archaeologist, whose methods are precisely those of Sherlock Holmes, and the laborious assembling of fragments as in a jigsaw puzzle, have revealed a remarkable variety of domestic architecture as to style, mass, and principle of construction. Pompeian houses that 30 years ago were mere outlines of foundations have actually been made to arise from their ashes by the ingenious refitting and building up of their tiniest fragments until they are now seen to have 2 and sometimes more floors with massive balconies. We know from the tenement houses of Ostia, the ancient port of Rome, and the large villas of Pompeii, which were divided into self-contained flats and residences among a considerable number of tenements, that the populous Roman cities must have had an appearance of mass by no means inferior to that of our modern cities before steel and concrete enabled our builders to soar to previously undreamt of heights. But the builders of ancient Rome had little to learn from those who put up Mayfair's latest block of flats. When we come much closer to our own doors than even Herculaneum or Pompeii, when we come to Verulamium, St. Albans, to Sierra Leone in Wales, or to any of the scores of historical sites, all easily accessible within the narrow compass of the British Isles, we are confronted with the most pleasing manifestation of intelligent energy seeking to recover from its native soil, for the Briton of today, authentic and tangible evidence of the sort of life that was lived in his own country ages ago, and the measure of civilization enjoyed by the remoter and long extinct races that peopled the British Isles. To make these dead cities of the distant past live again in the popular mind of our time is the fascinating work that is known by the forbidding name of archaeology. A work of endless allure, of continual surprises, and richer than almost any other field of human study. As from the past, with its miseries and its splendors, its gallant strivings toward great things, and its catastrophic failures, we can derive knowledge to help us in the living of our own lives today. The earth as a vast cemetery of the human race. The earth is really a vast cemetery of human race. From the objects dug up in its ancestors' graves and tombs, we can piece together a tolerably accurate picture of the life lived by men and women who returned to Mother Earth many thousands of years ago. Hardly a week passes without some news of new and exciting archaeological finds, and for there is scarcely any limit to the explorer's range. Wherever primitive men had his temporary residence of shelter, wherever savage or civilized communities dwelt, wherever temples, palaces, or tombs were built by men of the vanished races, the archaeologist finds objects that thrill with this significance when interpreted by experts today. In designing wonders of the past, my object has been to provide a work of a quote-unquote popular kind, which is yet to be accurate and considered, which yet would be as accurate and considered in its information as attractive in appearance. Those best capable of judging have expressed the opinion that the object in view has been attained in this work. Perhaps I may, with pardonable editorial pride, mention that several years after our first edition had been issued, and an American impression of Wonders of the Past had been widely sold throughout the United States, I was being shown through the wonderful tomb I built 5,000 years ago. I was being shown through the wonderful tomb built 5,000 years ago by Hetepheres, mother of Khufu, for her daughter, and then newly discovered by the veteran Egyptologist Professor G.A. Reisner of Boston. His other guest on occasion of my visit being the Harvard Professor of Archaeology, from whom I learned that Wonders of the Past was so esteemed in the United States that at Harvard papers in the archaeology course were set from its pages. Here indeed was proof that it is possible to make a publication popular and attractive in its appearance without surrendering anything of accuracy or seriousness. I do not suppose that any of my new readers will be less pleased with Wonders of the Past because it does not follow any sort of historic sequence in the presentation of its contents. The systematic study of any subject can too easily be made over-systematic, and to attempt to build up in a strict historical sequence a concept of the many and various cultures of prehistoric and ancient times might result in a work that would be worthy of praise but could scarcely be described as popular. The attention of the ordinary, non-specialized reader to whom this work makes its chief appeal would be less likely to be engaged in that way than the method here adopted. Our varying interests in the study of the past. Not everyone is interested in the same periods of history or in the same aspects of civilization. There are those to whom everything concerning the history and civilization of ancient Rome is electrical with interest, and others to whom Egypt or Assyria are far more alluring than anything of the later date. Those who find themselves particularly attracted to speculation on primitive man and the earlier forms of human society, such as we study in objects of the Old Stone Age, probably would not be stirred by anything so recent as the collapse of the Western Empire. And yet I am hopeful that in Wonders of the Past, readers of all tastes will find something to attract them and to whet their appetite for knowledge of the ancient times. Even the expert will find abundant data in our profusely illustrated chapters, which merely as collections of pictorial documents are unrivaled in any publication known to me, and which in most cases require only the mention of their authors' names to give authority to their contents. Our original classification of the contents has been followed again with the addition of a new section, somewhat more general in character than any of the rest: the study of the past. No attempt has been made to obtain uniformity of length between these sections, which are long or short according to the number of subjects presenting themselves for the inclusion. The study of the past, the wonder cities, records of the tombs, the royal palaces, the great monuments, temples of the gods, the master builders, ancient arts and crafts, and the seven wonders. Some important new chapters have been added to the work, and the whole has been subjected to careful revision, so that Wonders of the Past has become a more extensive and more valuable survey of a subject that is as endlessly interesting as it is unlimited in extent and variety. This comes from the book Wonders of the Past, a worldwide survey of the marvelous works of man in ancient times, written by the leading modern authorities and edited by Sir J.A. This is the second volume, printed 1937.